Hello, welcome to Reader's Workshop. I'm taking advantage of my birthday celebration balloons to give you a little colorful black backdrop here. We're starting a new unit, Unit 3, Reader's Workshop. You're going to have a notebook that looks just like this, that you picked up at the school. And it says we're doing character studies. And you might say, what does that mean? To which I tell you that we are going to be studying characters. We're going to notice how they act. We're going to notice some qualities or characteristics or traits that we think they have. Like, are they really funny? Are they nice? Are they shy? Are they independent? Are they compassionate? Do they have big hearts? Are they stingy? All those kinds of things. And then you're going to use the knowledge that you have. We're going to learn how to predict how we think characters will act in certain circumstances. Because you always have the main character, you've got your setting where it takes place, and then you have some kind of conflict or a problem that comes up, and then we have to handle it, and we're going to see how our main characters handle the problems as they come up. The first book that we're going to read that I'm so excited about is called Because of Winn Dixie, and it is by Kate DiCamillo. Chapter 1. My name is India Opal Buloni. And last summer, my daddy, the preacher, sent me to the store for a box of macaroni and cheese, some white rice, and 2 tomatoes. And I came back with a dog. This is what happened. I walked into the produce section of the Winn Dixie grocery store to pick out my tomatoes, and I almost bumped right into the store manager. He was standing there all red-faced, screaming and waving his arms. "Who let the dog in here?" he kept shouting. "Who let the dirty dog in here?" At first, I didn't see a dog. There were just a lot of vegetables rolling around on the floor, tomatoes and onions and green peppers. And there was what seemed like a whole army of Winn Dixie employees running around waving their arms just the same way the store manager was waving his. And then the dog came running around the corner. He was a big dog and ugly. He looked like he was having a real good time. His tongue was hanging out and he's wagging his tail. He skidded to a stop and smiled right at me. I had never before in my life seen a dog smile, but that is what he did. He pulled back his lips so hard that and showed all his teeth. Then he wagged his tail so hard that he knocked some oranges off a display, and they went rolling everywhere, mixing in with the tomatoes and onions and green peppers. The manager screamed, "Somebody grab that dog!" The dog went running over to the manager, wagging his tail and smiling. He stood up on his hind legs. You could see that all he wanted to do was get face to face with the manager and thank him for the good time he was having in the produce department, but somehow he ended up knocking the manager over. And the manager must have been having a bad day, because lying there on the floor right in front of everybody, he started to cry. The dog leaned over him real concerned and licked his face. "Please," said the manager, "somebody call the pound." "Wait a minute," I hollered. "That's my dog. Don't call the pound." All the Winn Dixie employees turned around and looked at me, and I knew I had done something big, and maybe stupid too. But I couldn't help it. I couldn't let that dog go to the pound. "Here, boy," I said. The dog stopped licking the manager's face and put his ears up in the air and looked at me, like he was trying to remember where he knew me from. "Here, boy," I said again. And then I figured that the dog was probably just like everybody else in the world, that he wanted to get called by his name. I don't know what his name was, so I just said the first thing that came into my head. I said, "Here, Winn Dixie." And that dog came trotting over to me like he had been doing it his whole life. The manager sat up and gave me a hard stare, like maybe I was making fun of him. "No, it's his name," I said, "honest." The manager said, "Don't you know not to bring dog into the grocery store?" "Yes, sir," I told him. "He got him by mistake. I'm sorry, it won't happen again." "Come on, Winn Dixie," I said to the dog. I started walking and he followed along behind me as I went out of the produce department and down the cereal aisle and past all the cashiers and out the door. Once we were safe outside, I checked him over real careful, and he didn't look that good. He was big but skinny. You could see his ribs, and there were bald patches all over him, places where he didn't have any fur at all. Mostly, he looked like a big piece of brown carpet that had been left out in the rain. "You're a mess," I told him. "I bet you don't belong to anybody." He smiled at me. He did that thing again where he pulled his lips back and showed me his teeth. He smiled so big that it made him sneeze. It was like he was saying, "I know I'm a mess. Isn't it funny?" It's hard not to immediately fall in love with a dog who has a good sense of humor. "Come on," I told him. "Let's go see what the preacher has to say about you." And the two of us, me and Winn Dixie, started walking home.